Hi, everybody. I'm Madeline Black with the Chicago Tabletop Gaming Association. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to building community, creating educational resources, and fostering the TTRPG industry here in Chicago. And today we are with none other than the Aabria Iyengar, the powerhouse GM who's been reshaping what it means to tell stories at the table. If you know her from Critical Role, Worlds Beyond Number, Dimension 20, or any of her other incredible actual play work, you know that she brings something truly special to every game she touches. She's not just a game master, she's a storyteller, a community builder, and, if I may, mother?
Amazing. I do love that.
Yes. I saw that one interview a while back where you called for people to call you mother, and I said every time I find myself in an interaction with you, I gotta work it in there.
I have never experienced a thing where, as I said it, I was like, this is a silly, don't do this. You're doing a bit and everyone will remember forever. And then committed to it. And now I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
we knew what was
correct,
coming.
correct.
You've asked for this.
Yes. So we are here today to discuss her return to the stage with the Twenty-Sided Tavern and the opening of their national tour at Chicago's Broadway Playhouse. The show runs from August 12th through September 28th, and you can see her there from August 26th through September 7th. The show brings D&D to the stage, an adventure across the Forgotten Realms where no two shows are the same. Now, if you've been following Aabria's work, you know that she's not just incredibly talented, but also on the front lines of making the TTRPG scene more welcoming, more diverse, and frankly more fun for everyone, not just the folks who've been rolling dice since the 80s. Mm-hmm. So, again, welcome, Aabria. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you for having me. This is so, I'm excited to talk to you. I'm excited to get out to Chicago. My family's from there. This is going to be so fun. I'm so happy
excited.
it's been announced now, so I no longer have to be surreptitiously texting friends that are like, hey, just be in the greater Chicago area. I went to the University of Iowa my freshman year of college, so I have a bunch of friends that lied to me when I was but a wee freshman in college, and they're like, yeah, I'm from the suburb of Chicago, Buke, Iowa. And I was like, okay, that doesn't sound true or right, but here we go. So this has been a really fun opportunity to hit up a bunch of friends in the Midwest and be like, if you want to see the interesting plot twist my life has taken, come hang out.
I love that so much. So I want to start at the beginning with your story. What was your pathway into TTRPGs, and was there a moment where you realized that this could be more than just a hobby for you?
My darling now husband, but at the time just boyfriend, huge board game nerd, and right as everyone was sort of adopting and trying out 5th edition, his board game group was like, oh, let's give it a shot. And you can invite your girlfriend. You guys live together. It would be weird if she would if she just wasn't invited to this thing that's going to spend eat up all of our Saturdays for the foreseeable future. So I was sort of a reluctant +1 to a D&D game, and I think it took maybe 2 sessions before I was like, oh guys, I like this way more than any of you like anything, and I'm about to make it my whole personality. That was made easier because at the time I was doing improv over at UCB and had a background of comedy and stand-up, and there's something very long form improv and team sport ish about the collaborative storytelling of D&D and other tabletop role play games that immediately pinged the thing in my brain that loves telling stories and loves spending time with friends and having all of those fun social moments in a very fun, safe way. And the performance was always internal. It was always about trying to entertain your friends and make them laugh with fun references. And then a couple years later, when I started streaming, hopped on some very small channels very early on, I was like, oh, I do remember the day I came home, and I think it was one of the first times I had tried not D&D. I was introduced to Powered by the Apocalypse by Happy Jacks, a very cool channel owned and operated by friends. And I think it was something around then when I realized oh, the world is broader than just one system, and the kind of stories you can tell are way more intense in different ways than I thought they could be. I think that was the moment I was like, oh, this is a full art form and we can do more with it. So time to really run at it and dive in and figure out what the edges of the like form are, and how can we push them. Yes, it's great.
Incredible. So speaking of edges of the art form and how you can push them, 20-Sided Tavern. For folks who haven't been there, what are they going to be walking into?
I love this because, again, it's that idea of like improv comedy and collaborative storytelling. This is a perfect example of, for people who know what D&D is, you're walking in and getting to like chime in on essentially an improvised like sort of mini actual play in front of you, where the choices and like the bits and the like character like constellations and interpersonal like relationships are discovered in the moment, like across the show. But even for people that are like brand new to D&D, it's just the idea that you're going to go and watch some people go on an adventure. And because of the way Gameotics allows you on your phone to like chime in to both help make decisions about where the group goes or who acts in certain moments of strife or unsureness or big choices to make, but also to like help solve puzzles and help the party. Like you are a part of the party as much as you are like a little controller of their characters. And it's just a really fun way to tell us like a fun, high energy fantasy story for a couple hours.
So for folks who have played D&D before or even run their own D&D games, how does the audience participation piece at 20-Sided Tavern differ from like a player's agency at the table?
I think it really sits in the world of like there are certain skill challenges that have moments where you're like, hey, if you're really like, if you've been in the D&D trenches for a minute, you might see with perfect clarity a thing being alluded to, and you can jump in with your expertise. But I do think it's something inside of the joy of watching and seeing people be delighted by this thing that exists at your table. That the spontaneity of, hey, we all bought the same campaign book. So there is a world where you're like, oh, I play Tyranny of Dragons, you play Tyranny of Dragons, we both know what the plot is. But the fact that like your table story will be markedly different than any other table story, and getting to experience that in a live setting around other people and going like, this is a one-off experience that we all get to share, and there may be this combination of characters might occur in another week or two, but it will never be the same story because we got to like add our contributions and add our jokes and add to the success or complicating factors as the audience decides. One of my favorite things that I got to do when I was in during the actual like off-Broadway run, I got to come back after playing as Magic, the sort of mage archetype in the group. They let me come back and DM, which may have been a mistake on their end, but they can't take it back now because it's already happened. And it became a really fun bit of trying to convince the audience to be bad guys with me instead of helping the party. And the couple of sessions where I was like, or what if we let the Havoc win? And the audience was like, actually, we do not help the party. I was like, oh, this is great. This will never happen again. And I could see people in the the booth in the back freaking out. I'm like, I don't know, man. I think we're all bad guys. Good luck. Here we are.
Oh my God.
And there's just something about the like, what are we in that like big sense? Like, what are we, everyone in this theater, going to decide to do with the story tonight? That like, it's so fun. It's so fun. It's why I keep coming back and why they'll unfortunately never be rid of me.
I think that's a good problem for them to have. So as a performer on stage versus like running games, either like on camera or just like home games that you may be running, what is that difference in dynamic like when you have an audience of like 100, 200, however many people in front of you IRL?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is moving is crazy. There's just been so much time where you're like, yes, and I can describe these like massive like movements of creatures and like large scale groups of people and individuals. There is something different when you're like, I get up and I go walk across the bar and make a physical choice and physically interact with someone. And as someone who, like, especially in the last couple of years and like everything with the pandemic and after it, I hadn't done a lot of like IRL improv following quarantine and the pandemic. So this was one of my like first ways back, and I was like, oh, it feels so nice to be able to like embody your character in a way that like the distance of like sitting and staring at a character sheet and being in your character's head, but still having to like explain everything that they're thinking and doing and seeing and like being and behaving in the world. It's nice to just get up and do it sometimes. It's nice to have the like the immediate feedback of hundreds of people who are on either side. Like, again, I do love to play a bad guy. So like as a DM, when you're a bad guy and you're hearing kids in the crowd actively booing and you're like, oh, I understand what pro wrestling is. Like, haha, your boos feed me too. This is great. And like those moments where you get to like entreat the audience for help and support, and everyone comes through and does it on their phone and we can see it on the screen behind us. The liveness of it all is deeply intoxicating, especially because the majority of my on-camera work now is all like filmed to tape, and then it comes out. Anything at D20 is at least half a year before it comes out. Things at CR are dilated by a couple months or a couple weeks. So getting that live response is really nice when you're like, I've made a choice. Oh, and with Worlds Beyond Number, the episode that just came out today was filmed in March. So there's so many things that are like, wow, okay, something really profound in a story happened and I can't say anything for ever. I love having moments where you're like, something profound just happened and we're here experiencing it and all of you are here experiencing it and we're all freaking out, right? And there's just something really nice about like the instantaneous community of it.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of building that community and specifically your family being able to come to this, as the Twenty-Sided Tavern moves, coming to Chicago and then other cities across the country, what's exciting about bringing this kind of like TTRPG theater experience directly into some of these local communities?
I'm so excited because, again, my family, like my mom's side of the family is from Chicago, the south side of Chicago. My dad's side of the family is from Rockford. I have all of my extended families out here, but I couldn't necessarily get them all to like pick up and go to New York when I was in town doing runs there. I love the fact that I get to come here now, and because I'm born and raised in Southern California, I can't quite call it a homecoming, but there is that sense of like, this is like one of these shows, I think it's like two of these shows are going to be just straight up family reunions. And I'm so excited to show my extended family, especially like my aunts and uncles who have no idea what I do and really don't try. I'm pretty sure I was gonna make a joke that might be a little blue for this, but when I said I made content online, I do think they were like, she posts feet on the internet. I'm like, I don't. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but no. Please Google it. No. Okay, it's fine. So this just feels like a really fun way to like finally show my family, like, this is what I do. We all get together, we tell these like incredible epic stories, and there's a community around it, and the community is sweet and fun, and it's performance, and it is writing and acting and all of the things that I have loved my whole life. And I finally get to share it with them and show it to them. And I think that's like the beauty of the tour. There's just so many places you never get to go to, and the assumption that like anyone and everyone that would care about this would have the means or ability to like pick up and go and head to New York and get there during the run. I love the fact that like you have a chance. You have a chance to come out. It's coming somewhere near you. Bring your family. Like, it's easier to introduce new people to it. Like, I'm not going to convince my friend who barely knows what D&D is to like, again, pick up and cross town, but they're also going to be coming to Los Angeles for an extended run. So I'm so excited to actually show off to other friends of mine what we've been doing and like the kind of stories that are told here and the kind of stories that the 20-Sided Tavern are telling that are meaningfully different and special than the way D&D plays out of the can. Like it is different enough that I think that people that love D&D can appreciate the ways in which this is different from like their experience with their home games. And for people who love theater who don't necessarily know about D&D, this is such a beautiful entry point.
When you say that it's different from like what a home game would feel like, what are those like kind of main areas of difference?
Well, yeah. One, the length. And this is fun because my favorite little fact about when I was DMing during the 20-Sided Tavern run is that I would get notes every night about like, stop going over. We are here. Theater has rules and you have to be timely. And I'm like, sorry, I come from Critical Role. Our episodes last as long as I need to. And that could be anywhere up to 96 hours in a row. Sorry. But there's something so beautiful in the way people experience D&D in their own like lives and at their own tables is that it's usually part of like a chunk of a day, an afternoon, an evening, and it's food and it's above table talk and it's like the things that drop within the game, like the casualness of it and the experience of telling a story without the pressure and the pressure cooker of like, we are sitting here in pure performance for 2 to 5 hours. I love that you get the same dopamine hit of like, we're doing this thing, we're a part of the story, but we get to like sit back and not have to be active, intense participants of it by getting to like both watch and contribute this like via second screen. But it is a markedly different experience. I think there is something inside of like home games and D&D, like home play that puts you deep inside of like the fantasy world of the like narrative you're moving through. And I think the fun and the lightness that comes from the 20-Sided Tavern is that because it is comedy forward and a light, like sort of, I don't want to call it a romp, one, because that's a cliche, but it's more like a sort of screaming run through the back of a scene. Like, there is so much in the like intensity and quickness of it and the burst of it that is meant to have high energy because you want that for the stage, but is a different energy than the games you get to like sit and linger in.
So you mentioned that this show, it kind of expands the audience, not from just TTRPG people to, you know, theater lovers as well. And I feel like it's this is such a major, honestly, investment in expanding TTRPGs as mainstream entertainment. What does it mean for you personally to like be part of this moment?
Nothing makes me happier because I think one of my biggest regrets is how much D&D wasn't on my radar before I was in my late 20s. And it's always easy to go like, well, what if, and imagine a world in which you'd like fallen into it sooner. I'm happy that I met it where I was at when I did, because I think it informs the kind of storytelling that I love and I think I'm known for, that I wasn't really in touch with like the sort of high fantasy like fiction roots that inform most of D&D. So my frame of reference is different, so the stories I tell tend to reflect that. That's all well and good, but I do wish that there had been a road to it. I do wish there was something inside of D&D that had reached out to groups beyond, I think, what we can all agree the stereotypes of the target demographic of like D&D back in the day was, which was like young white men. And again, nothing wrong with like that target demo, but having a chance as a young Black woman to also feel like that was a game that could have something for me, that would tell a story that I felt seen in and that I would care about. I just love that the expansiveness and like whatever this sort of phase of D&D is where we're trying via like movies and like Universal Studios has it like as a part of like one of their setup. The fact that it's becoming more mainstream means that more people can come to a storytelling and art style that I find to be one of the most wonderful things that has ever happened to me in my life. And I want that for other people. I love that like theater is a vector to that. Like the more myriad art styles that we touch, the higher the likelihood is that you'll find one way for you to like catch on it and a light on it. And if that becomes the door that like brings you in, especially as like the form itself is taking pains to become more diverse via like the sort of Ouroboros of reflecting its expanding fan base, and that fan base making like third-party content that also is inherently more diverse via like actual play and like homebrew modules, and like as the form itself cannot help but become more diverse as more people come to it, it then becomes something that can reach down to like younger storytellers and people who want to see themselves in the fiction that teaches them how to be heroic and how to be good. And I think that is a good thing in general and makes me very excited for the future.
Same here. So when you started in this space, how did you see yourself reflected in the stories being told, and how has that changed over time?
I think first starting, there's I again try not to lean into like the tropes of it all, but I definitely began this and started playing as drow and tieflings and like types of characters that were instantaneously othered within society. Like that is a one-to-one parallel to the like world and spaces that I move through in my daily life. And it was one of those strange things where you're like, oh, I think the majority of the like landmarks of fiction that inform the world and like IP around D&D never really had me in mind beyond the like exotic factor of, and here's someone not of like our stereotypes for like heroism and expectations. So it's very interesting, like trying to like look back at the arc of the stories I've told in D&D, both like sort of seriously on camera as like actual play and narrative play and performance, and even like the things at home, that I definitely feel the arc of like feeling othered and finding a way towards heroism despite the world not being built for you. And I think I've sort of reached the other side, where now the things I love and the things I reach to in storytelling are a little more difficult characters. I want to play in like the messy space. Like I love playing a villain, and it doesn't mean the main characters I play are always villains, but there is something inside of, I don't know. I feel like I'm like getting a little in the weeds here, but I'm gonna follow it and continue with it.
I love this. I love it.
That I think a lot of the prescribed play in D&D is, and here's a band of sweeties. Here's a bunch of people who are all emotionally and philosophically on the same page, and it's this group against the world. And the world is the thing that needs to like be fixed in order for like the aberration from good to like be restored. And those aren't my favorite stories that I like. Those aren't my favorite books, and those aren't my favorite films. I like interpersonal like tension. I like when people have to figure out how to get along. I like when people have to figure out how to communicate with each other, because the love is there and the intention is there, but there are different perspectives and things that need to be overcome and actively pursued. Like I think change and growth is an act of love that we don't talk about enough. The idea that like I will figure out how to speak to your heart, and it will be messy and hard at first, but we'll figure it out, is some of my favorite like interpersonal tropes. And that requires that you start off not on the same page. So I love playing in games now that sort of eschew the like fellowship and band of brothers and go like, these are how actual interpersonal dynamics work. And they're rough. And the love will be there, but the like is a day-to-day like struggle. And I think in telling stories about that, of people who are good but flawed, and people who are flawed but find it, I think those are stories that mean more in the long run, because they are actually more reflective of the way we all move through the world. And if storytelling is that very, very like ancient and like something nigh spiritual, like discussion about what it means to be a person in the world and what good is and what evil is and like what is right and wrong, if we're constantly telling ourselves stories of that, the closer we can get to the actual complexities of doing those in the world, I think just improves the nature of storytelling in general. But I do feel like I've hopped on a psychotic soapbox.
No, I'm right there with you. So either we're both psychotic or like, I don't know if there's another option. For GMs who really want to level up their storytelling, like you are an absolute masterclass in dealing out consequences, but specifically consequences that feel natural and not punitive by any means. So what advice would you give to GMs out there who want to create those emotional stakes that get the players really invested in the outcomes and again dish out all the consequences that they have coming their way?
Yeah, I think it's really important to consider that the worst way that can go is if you are overly punitive with your players, they will stop making choices because they'll be afraid of being wrong. So like that for me is the easiest barometer for like, how's the table doing? Are they still taking wild swings? Great. Then they feel like maybe this could go really well, or maybe something will happen. And like, you kind of know you're in balance. But if you notice, to sort of borrow the like poker term, if you notice your players are playing a little more tightly, than you would hope or have expected from them over time, like that's usually a pretty good sign that like you've maybe crossed into like overly punishing. And that's not like like sometimes there are just scenarios where like the world as it has been presented is a little bit scarier than their desire to act freely in the world would suggest. So like you might need to encourage them a little more to be like, hey, I'm not always holding a stick. Go ahead, press, like you can press a little farther. And learning the subtlety of that like flow with table it's mostly a factor of like, it's reps. There's not really like one easy thing to say, but like you kind of get used to the cadence of it. And if you notice differences in the cadence of like when your button pusher player doesn't seem to be pushing as many buttons, when your like sort of plot hound players are more invested in trying to figure out what they've already like seen rather than like continuing to press to find something new. There are like always a couple little signals of like an internality that might belie nerves around making big choices. And I try very hard to make sure that the tenor of my table is, I'm going to give you as much rope as you want, and you can save yourself with that rope or hang yourself with that rope. All I'm asking for is a swing. Make a choice. Sometimes it works, and sometimes, like, I love honoring a big, crazy ask as much as I love going like, okay, we've now entered like a Looney Tune space, or the dice have shut down this idea, and like honoring when dice really come in and make a choice as someone who rolls crazy as a player. I love a big crazy swing where you're like, wow, I do hope this works. And when the dice say a hard no, you're like, great, time to be the world explaining how the choice wasn't bad, but here are the ways in which it doesn't work out. And living in in the same way that a lot of improvisational world building is a very know a very strong if that is true, and then you can play the if then game. Like, okay, if it is true that in this world the moon was shattered and gravity is weird and bad, then what other things are true about the world, and what things become true culturally because of those things that are true about the environment? And you can begin to build a workable model of response and consequence just from the world building. And I think that also moves into decision-making spaces and adjudicating consequences as a GM, where you sitting inside of the if it's true that you can pull off this incredibly crazy win that sort of defies physics and maybe even some of bends some of the rules of the game. I love saying yes to a moment that might be mechanically not rules as written, but we love rule of cool. We love stretching to push the form and tell a good story over a unyielding adherence to a rule set. But that means in the other direction, when things say no and when things don't work, they have to be treated with equal gravity. A natural 20 is only as strong as a natural 1 is terrifying. So living inside of both of that, it just becomes the fun game of like, I want you to feel the highest highs you can. And that means when it goes wrong, it's got to go so wrong that the winds feel great. And making sure you're in constant, like the things that I think we do all know now, which is constant communication. And those are the things I think people don't always see in actual play, where you're like, hey, in a Dimension 20 scene where maybe I blow up Brendan's arm a little bit, know that that was discussed immediately after the scene like rocked. We called a bio break, had a conversation, we talked between episodes, we got everyone on the same page. Consent is a like constant conversation in all of this, even if you're not hearing it inside the edit. So yeah, keep talking.
So important. So
Yeah.
important. Talk to your players.
Exactly.
You heard it
You
here
don't-
first.
Yeah.
Talk to your players.
Talk to your players. Don't think that like having those conversations takes anything away from like the surprise or delight of the things you have in store. Don't mistake surprise or like don't mistake mystery for anxiety. Like you don't have to make your players anxious if you're just like, hey, just so you know, if this goes, like if you're trying something crazy, if it goes well, you've saved the day and ruined my encounter, which is awesome. If you don't do it, here's how things are going to get worse. Do you still want to proceed? I want you to do what you want to do, and I'm not telling you this because I don't want you to do it. I'm just letting you know these are the stakes of this moment. What do you want to do? I'm on your side because I'm on the side of a good, fun story.
Mm-hmm.
What do we want to do?
Yeah, exactly. Love that. And when it comes to like world building, kind of crafting this narrative collaboratively, but also like, you know, as the person running the game, you have so much control.
Yeah.
How much of that narrative building is kind of in response to like the players' like underlying psychology of why they're playing that character, right?
Yeah.
Like, something that I'm fascinated with right now is like, okay, you built right now this, like, I'll tell you, my fiance, he's playing a sorcerer, a wild magic sorcerer who thinks he's a wizard.
Fun.
Which is so fun.
Fun. Love
such
that.
a great concept.
Love that. Yes.
And, but I was like, okay, cool. Why are you playing this character? And he's like, well, you know, growing up, I had it easy in school. And like, you know, we spent hours talking about like why he's playing this character as just kind of like a way for us to connect about, you know, his experience through life. And I'm curious how that works in your realms if like you're playing the game but you're also kind of playing your other players.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I love that is the thing I enjoy playing the most. Like, okay, time to go like dive in on the players. Usually my flow for like building a narrative, especially for like film seasons, for shows, is have a strong sense of the pitch of the story. So it's like for Burrow's End, it's like, hey guys, I want to tell a little story about little stoats. Now, I know you're asking, what is a stoat? So let me start with that. Wikipedia defines a stoat as, and like giving them the like most basic download of like, I want to tell a story about a little stoat family. I want it to feel like Watership Down and Animal Farm and that sort of like xenofiction that was right at the edge of like young adult fiction or like kid lit and the beginning of like the books you have to read in school because they have political messages. Like, let's play in the space of that. That's the thing I would like to do here. Now let's build characters. And it's only after the characters are built, once you see what people as individuals are excited to play and how they want to connect to one another and what their group's vibes are, that's when I go like, great, now I have the things I need to go write the story because I'm going to write the specifics and the specificities of the world to what you guys care about. So because 3 of you are doing this thing, I will make sure that that is fleshed out, even as other parts of the greater world building sort of exist in a fuzzy background for depth and richness of the environment. But we always tune up the things that like the players care about. And then diving in on the individual, there's always usually like a session or 2 before we get into like our session 0 and actually start playing. That's a discussion of like, okay, mechanically, what are you trying to do? Thematically, what are you after? and inside of that playing the sort of pop psychologist, where yeah, I love the idea, like if I'm sitting and doing this for your fiance, there's something really fun in explaining magical ability as like the gifted kid realization of, oh, this thing that like inside the confines of my home where I am praised for all of the things I do, there's never been a need for like taxonomy for what this is. So the moment I go to school, a place where everyone's trained to be a wizard, and those things come naturally to me, am I a particularly good wizard, or is there something else going on, like internal to me, that I need to reckon with and understand before I can be the best like caster I can to other people? Because like the foundational tension there is the moment you realize, oh, I'm a sorcerer, we're doing different kinds of magic, I can't even like, how do I communicate with you the thing I do, because it is simply a part of who I am. There is no distance between my ability set and my own like concept of my mind. That idea, I love thinking about magic and how we think about talent and ability, and the difference between like a gift that you're born with versus like a gift that you train, and is one better or worse than the other? Do we like, do certain kinds of fiction overemphasize the importance of being born special versus like the, I don't know, Protestant work ethic in the world, like, or in American fiction in general, about the like, no, the things that are most valuable are the things that you work for. And like the tension between those two things, like what does our fiction teach us? What does our culture teach us? And what do we learn as people growing up in an environment that gives us mixed messages about like how to be good and magical in the world? I think it's a really cool character concept.
So for that character creation process, how in depth do you go with your players? You just kind of like send them on their own and they come up with it and bring it back to you, or is it more collaborative together?
I work with different levels of like players that are like familiar with D&D. So like if I'm giving something to like the Worlds Beyond Number squad, no, I could just be like, here's the thing we're doing. Everyone knows. Come chat with me in a while, and I can trust you to handle mechanically and conceptually the things that you want, and then we'll get into like really fun, high level conversations about like the minutia and what choices were made and like what themes are being picked. But I also have spent a lot of time developing characters and storylines for people who are very new to D&D, and like mechanically and specifically, or are newer to improv. So there's lots of different like, okay, I don't even want you to worry about the mechanics. I'm going to build the character. Like, we're going to talk about what you want to play. I'm going to build you what I think is the lightest and most manageable version of that. And I'll add a little flow chart. So if you ever get stuck about the mechanics, just walk down this list. So you like, this is generally the thing you want to do. And then you can iterate on that however you want. The interesting thing is, what do you care about in your character? I think I've said it a couple times in different interviews, but I really hold to the idea that I think the best GMs are ones that like can and do on occasion play your character along with you. They know your character's psychology and priority, so they can sit there, especially in internal moments when you're like, I'm going to sit in a doubt cycle. If I can trust that the GM is going to play the other half of my conflicted mind with like enough fidelity that the scene feels good and we get somewhere great, like I think that's the best kind of storytelling. So yeah, I think having conversations about what your character cares about and why they do the things they do makes for the most successful, in my mind, character generation, which then turns into fun character beats and stories, because you know those little buttons where you're like, okay, I've noticed across our 3 conversations, you keep mentioning that there's like this one little thing that gets your character get your character's ears pricked up. And I know I will always have that in the bag to like trigger when something big happens. So when it's appropriate, I can do the like, and here's something that I'm going to describe very lightly for the group. And I know without having to look at you that I'm getting your ears up on this. And like, those are like the fun moments that make me like so excited, because then it becomes the rest of the party going like, why did you freak out about this thing? And now they get to ask and it all gets to come out. And like having that ability to give no look passes so that characters can like sit and hold spotlight is some of my favorite beats inside of games. So those are that's what I optimize for in character gen.
Before we wrap up, I have to put you through the lightning round.
Yes.
And fair warning, I'm mixing GM philosophy with very serious Chicago questions. This is make or break. You could split the city in half with this.
Incredible. Let's do it.
Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Ketchup on hot dogs, yay or nay?
Yes. Yay.
Yes. Okay. Divisive.
Yeah, I know. I'm so sorry.
It's fine. Epic hero journey or slice of life adventures?
Ooh. In general, okay. Question. Am I allowed to ask a question as a follow-up? In general, like most of all, or are we talking about like exactly right now? Which one to pick?
If you pick up a game right now, if you had 6 people at your table, would you want to run an epic hero journey or a slice of life adventure?
Exactly right now, slice of life. In general, epic, hoping that there will be time to have a breather moment where we can go do some slice of life nonsense. But exactly right now, give me a little slice of life. Give me like something simple and cozy that can be like played in and around. Oh, yeah. Give me a little jungle gym.
Love it. Have you ever had Malort?
Yes. It's a poison.
Yes.
It's the worst thing Chicago's ever done and the most important thing Chicago's ever done.
I really hope when you're here we can take a shot together.
Happily. Also, because so many people from the tavern are from Chicago, and that's where it started. One of like back when the tavern was emphasized in 20-Sided Tavern, there were shots, and there was a Malort shot if you got enough natural ones in a row. And if you know me at all, of course I rolled enough.
Oh God.
It's really hard. Malort has the ability to knock like lore out of my head. Like it's so bad. I'm like, scrub the last 20 minutes. You are a brand new vessel in the world and you don't know why you're here or what your character's name is.
Yeah. I'll say I've lived in Chicago long. I've been here almost 10 years. I've started to like it. And I'm scared of that. I'm scared. That's a problem.
Yeah. The Overton window for acceptable juices has shifted. Oh, it's a dark day, but I'm proud of you. Yeah, it means you're stronger and better than other people. Know that that's entirely true.
Okay, D&D question. Prep heavy or improvise everything?
Oh my gosh. If I have to pick between the two, improvise everything.
Wow. I'm such a heavy prepper.
I'm a heavy prepper, but I also spend a lot of passive time prepping. So like, I know there's a limit at which I start to make myself anxious, but I know that like it's usually like a lot of front-loaded prep and then letting my brain passively noodle on things and find things delightful. And then you like when you walk into the session, you put all of that down and play with what you remember and what you care about. So I feel like it's usually a lot of heavy prep to inform a paradigm. And then when you hit the road, you let the improv take over, and the improv will be informed by your prep, but you're not tied to it.
Mm-hmm. This is the longest lightning round.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Oh my
Have you ever
God,
had slow lightning?
I would rather have this than like fast, you know. Hopefully an easy question. Cubs or Sox?
I'm so sorry. I gotta say White Sox. My mom would kill me.
Yeah. You got the family here. It's great.
Yep.
Tragic backstories or hopeful optimists in your players?
Hopeful optimist. I'll make your present tragic. Hope's the last thing to die before you do, so I need you to hold on to that.
I, at my table, have said there are a lot more interesting things than death that can happen in this campaign.
My favorite part of the Candela run I did was because Sam Riegel came to me and said, hey, in this game where death are stakes, what if my character can't die? So like having the realization where you're like, I have to make death the thing you wish you could have by the end of this. And now that I've like lived in that, I'm like, oh yeah. To kill you is to absolve you from pain. No, stay here, linger.
Incredible, incredible.
You
I'm
get it.
horrified.
You
I love
get
it.
it.
I love it. Yeah. What is one thing you want to make sure that you experience in Chicago beyond the show?
Ooh, I'm becoming a little like fancy food boy. So I hope I can swing like a couple like I want to get some like nice good food, because normally when I go I'm like visiting family, so we're like all at a house and like someone's barbecuing or like they're ordering pizza because there's a bunch of people over. So I have not experienced a lot of like culinary things in Chicago, so I'm very excited about. With the caveat of, I know a lot of people are going to be like, go get deep dish pizza. I don't eat cheese. It's why they kicked me out of the Midwest. I don't eat cheese, but other than that, if you got sick Rex, please at me.
And then my final TTRPG question: do you have a favorite dice set?
Oh my gosh, yes. It's not in front of me right now. My favorite dice set, and the one that causes the most sort of public consternation, is a like rainbow glass set with like really pretty gold filigree. I used to work at a dice company, and it was my favorite set that we produced during my time there. I don't remember what they're called, but they're really pretty.
That's fine.
And
We can put the link if it's still
yeah,
available.
they're not
somewhere.
still available, which is why I'm like, oh, don't just forget the name. I think they were called like, no, I don't remember. I don't remember at all. But I don't think they make them anymore. And then the runner-up is from the same company. I bullied them for a year and a half into making dice with my handwriting on them. So there's like mage hand set, and I love them so much. And every time one of my actual friends picks one up and they're like, I can't read this at all, I'm like, I'm gonna go walk into the ocean and become sea. I yelled for so long. I sent so many emails. Oh no.
I love that. I love it so much. Now I have a wish list that I want to get a dice set that has my handwriting on it. I feel like
Right?
everyone needs that in their life.
It does feel like someone needs to offer that, where you're just like, here's the little format, figure out how to draw in the numbers, like get all the digits in and be like, and make my little dice in my little handwriting.
So if you're listening to this and you own a dice company,
yeah, hit us up.
Like, we should patent this idea right here
Yeah.
now. And
TM.
Yeah, we'll license it to you for lots of money that we
Yeah.
then use to buy that set of dice. Well, I guess you don't have to because you already have
It's
them.
a cycle.
Yeah, exactly. Well, incredible. Thank you so much. We started this conversation today talking about your journey into TTRPGs and creating welcoming spaces within it. And now here we are literally bringing that vision to life on the Broadway Playhouse stage, where hundreds of people will get to experience what you've been championing, that anyone can be part of these stories. So for folks who are in Chicago that might be on the fence about seeing the 20-Sided Tavern, what would you tell them they're going to experience that embodies everything that we've been talking about here?
We are going to see all of my favorite things inside of Dungeons and Dragons. It is collaboration and epic moments and big, stupid laughs and everyone working together for that, like, that triumph, that moment of triumph of good over evil. And if we can cry a little bit and laugh a little bit in it, why not do that too? It's everything. And the dice tell a story. And we all get to do it together. It's perfect.
I can't wait. So beyond the show, where can people follow your work and stay connected with what you're creating?
Yeah, you can see my work over at Critical Role and Dimension 20 and Worlds Beyond Number, our podcast, and on. There's so many channels. I go everywhere and tell story everywhere. But you can follow me on social media at Quiddy on Instagram or at Aabria on Blue Sky. Yeah.
Beautiful. And if you want to support Chicago's gaming community by getting involved in the Chicago Tabletop Gaming Association, you can find all of our links in the stuff. We're on Instagram, we're on the internet, we're everywhere. But that was us. I'm Madeline Black. That was Aabria Iyengar. And again, thank you so much for this conversation. I know that our community is going to get so much out of this. And I can't wait to see how Chicago audiences become part of the story of the 20-Sided Tavern. So, yay!
I can't wait. I'll see y'all soon.
Yay!